Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So today is October 29, 2020. So as usual, let us see our schedule. So we are almost at the end of this semester, end of this course, right? So we have just 3 more weeks. We need just 3 more weeks to wrap up. So this week we are in week 11th. Okay. So today we will cover classes and object. So okay, there is no quiz. No quiz this week. That's good. But there will be a quiz. Okay. Okay. So in my last lecture, actually, I went to the classroom for face-to-face class, but there was nobody there. I was the only one person. So I asked you to watch a video that I recorded from my morning section. Okay. So how many of you did have a chance to watch this video? Is anyone there that you watched this video?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Sick.
Okay.
Not been able to watch it yet.
That's good, but please by this weekend, watch this, okay? So you must watch this by this weekend, and especially like this, starting from lecture 19, and this should be from previous section 20 and 21. This should be 21. I will make it 21. Okay. So this one I asked you in previous week to watch. So please watch this video. And okay. So this, although this course it says we will cover introduction of object-oriented programming, classes and object. But what I want to do, I want to give you a clear understanding of class and object. At least these two: how to create a class and how to create objects and how to access objects. Then you will have a good foundation, like good startup for object-oriented programming. Then if you take our 1322 course, then you should be good. Okay, and you should be ready for 1322. Okay, but I want to ask you a few questions. So what is a class? Can anyone please give me a formal definition of a class? What is a class? If you do a Google search, or if you do say class in programming, concept. So if you get if you find a Google search, do a Google search or something, so you will get many definitions. For instance, in Wikipedia, in programming, in computer science, you will get this definition. But I like to give you a simple definition that I like everybody to remember. A class is a user-defined data type. Okay, so I like you to remember at least this one. A class is a user-defined data type. So is it difficult to remember? For the last few weeks, we are discussing these classes. One dog class, maybe dog class, example Java, C#, and then so I have 6 programs over here. One we discussed for dog class, how to develop a dog class and how to develop pencil class. So in my previous lecture, I discussed about pencil class. Okay. I discussed. Okay, so it's Python. Okay, I don't need Python actually. Class. Okay, I need Java. I need C++. I need C#. Okay. So same program I have in 3 languages. Java, C++, and C#. Okay, so I like everybody to speak out. Okay, so let us make this class an interactive class. Otherwise, I'm not feeling interest if you do not speak. So yeah, please everybody, please keep yourself unmuted. Okay, and please speak out and respond to me. And respond to me, please.
Okay.
Okay. So what is a class? Give me a formal definition of a class. If you are asked in an interview question, what is a class? What you will say?
It allows a programmer to create its own variables.
Okay, that is a use of a class. It allows it. You started with a allow, but I want to know definition of a class. That's good. You know something at least. So I want to hear the formal definition of a class. Do you remember from the beginning of this course that we are since the beginning of this course we are talking about data types? Data type. So everything in this world has a type, right? Everything in this world. Look around that. Take a second and look around yourself. You will see a lot of things, a lot of items. In physics, we say particle, right? There are a lot of particles around you. Like you have maybe a computer or a phone, right? A table, a chair, a fan, a building, okay, some trees. All of these are objects. All of these are objects, right? In this world. So these are all of these objects, and every object in this world has a task associated with it. If we ask a question, what is it? You will give as an answer, right? For instance, you may say that this is a pen, or this is a pencil, right? So when you ask what is it, and then you will what the answer you will say for this question, that is a class, is a concept of a class. Okay, you will say it is a pencil, that means, okay, or you may say it is a dog, okay, or you may say it is a cat. So whenever we say dog, what is it? You say it is a dog, right? You may have a dog around you. So you may say it is a dog. So dog, so whenever I hear or we hear a dog, right? What do you imagine? Okay, I want to speak at least. I want at least one of you. Please tell me what when I say I have a dog. What do you understand? What do you think that I have an animal, right? What kind of animal I do have? What do you think? So when I say dog, I have a dog. You may imagine that I have an animal, something like this, right? Okay. Okay, and I have, if I say elephant, if I say I saw an elephant, then you will imagine that I saw something like this, right?
Yes, sir.
And if I say that I saw a lion, then you would think that I saw something like this. So you see that all of these are objects in this world, particles or things, right? So everything has, or every particle has some features. By by those features, we detect or we recognize thing or item, right? So in programming object, we call every element in this world we call an object. Every element is an object in this world. Like even as a human being, I am an object. You are an object. My hand is an object. My fingers are each of the fingers is an object. Sometimes some objects are combined together to create a larger object. Like our human body, it is combined. It is a combination of some organs, right? Each of these organs is an object. Okay, so whenever I say that I have a dog, something you imagine that I have something, I have an animal, something like this, like the type. Okay, so the type is called a class. It give in English we say common noun. It is a common noun, right? So dog is a common noun. Is a kind of animal, right? So animal is the higher level class and dog is the lower level or subclass or one of the animals. Okay, there are many animals. So like cat is an animal, dog is an animal, like elephant is an animal. If I say animals, okay, so you see that all of these are different animals. So animal is a class. If we say animal is a class, then we can say human is another class or a subclass of animal, like, and then dog is a subclass of animal, like elephant is a subclass of another animal, cat is a subclass of animal. Okay, so from the what I was telling that from the beginning of this semester we are dealing with some data type, and we know that there are 8 primitive data types, right? Who can tell me that what are those 8 primitive types? There are 8 primitive data types. We are talking from the early of this semesters, right? What are those?
It's short.
In short, byte, then
The character one, Boolean.
yeah, long, Boolean,
Float and double.
yes, float and double. That's thank you. So in addition to those 8 primitive data types, there is another type we call the built-in type, the string, that is string. So you see that whenever we dealing the 3 programming languages we are discussing here, Java, C#, and C++, all variables, when you declare a variable, before declare a variable, we declare its type first, right? Its type, like serial number, it is its type. We declare its type first. Okay, so it's type first. Then okay, so if now remember that if, so that means every variable has a type, right? You see that every variable that in our program so far we discussed has a type associated with. Okay, so if the type is one of the 8 primitive data types, then we call this a variable. This is a variable. What is a variable here? Serial number is a variable here. Okay, similarly, has eraser is a variable. What is its type is Boolean, and what is its type is integer. So now what about this model and type? So remember that if, just remember, if the type is not one of the 8 primitive data types, then we call this not a variable, we call this is an object. This is an, so for English, in order to make it good, make sense, we write and, right? But we start with the vowel, so we say and. Okay, an object, what kind of object? We can say more specifically, is it called string object. You understand? So if my type is not one of the 8 primitive data types, then this is called a variable. Otherwise, if it is called, If it is not one of the 8 data primitive data, then this is called an object. So you can remember this quickly. Is it difficult to remember? So my message here, if every variable that we deal in a program has a type associated with it. So like it has type int, it has type string. So if my type is not one of the 8 primitive data types, then this is called a variable, and this is called an object. Okay, and this type is called class. Okay, so string is a class. So actually string is a built-in class. It is built-in Java programming language, and in C# we can use string, but in C# we use usually s is in lowercase. Its built-in type is s in lowercase, and also in C++ it has string in lowercase. So string is a built-in data type. We do not call it as primitive data type. Okay, it is already built in and is built in. It is a class type. Okay, so now, so far, how many types we have? We have 8 primitive data types that we are familiar with, and in addition to, we have string type. So far we are familiar with 9 types, right? But we can create programs or applications using only these 8 or 9 types, but that is difficult to maintain. Sometimes it is easy if we have create our own type, that custom data type. Okay, what is that we call class. So like pencil or bank account, okay, student, employee. Okay, so whenever we recall a pencil, like whenever we say pencil, so what do we recall? Whenever we say pencil, we recall something like this, right? So this is an object, and it has, every pencil has some characteristics. Maybe color is that lead, type of lead, maybe black color or maybe red color or blue color or green color, whether it has an eraser or not. Okay, its model and its price and its weight, maybe there are many features. Okay, so the features are 2 kinds. Some features can be defined by variable, and some features are actions. Like a pencil, what is the action of a pencil? A pencil is used to write, right? A pencil can write or can draw, or a pencil can erase. If a pencil has an eraser, then it can erase, right? So a class contains 2 things, some variables and some functions or actions. Actions are actually used to access those variables. So the formal definition of a class is that a class is a user-defined data type that contains some variables and some functions in order to access those variables. Okay, so let me give you a message. So what is a class? So a class is a user. Why we call user defined? Because we are defined. Who are user? As a programmer, or we are as a, you can say programmer or user defined, whatever you say. People usually say user, or you can say programmer, or you can say programmer or user. Okay, user or programmer defined data data type that contains two things. One, some variables, and two, some function to access those variables. Okay, and instance of a class is called an object. Okay, so I like everybody to remember this definition. Okay, so a class is a user or programmer defined data type that contains two things, some variables and some functions in order to access those variables. Okay, and then what is an object? An object is an instance of a class. So has anyone any question so far? Okay, now if we understand the definition, formal definition of a class, now we can define, or we can develop, or we can design our own class. So a class will contain some variables. The variables will have some name and type. That type can be some primitive data types or other data type. Okay, usually not same data type, but we can have this type. Okay, but we are not discussing in this course. Okay, that one, that will be complicated one. That is not a topic in this course, that will have an object of same type. Okay, so you see that this is a class. The class start with a class keyword, and it start with an opening brace, and it closes with, you see that this line, it starts with line number 2, this class, and it ends in line number 43. Okay, one thing remember that in C++, a class is ended with a semicolon. So whenever you see C++ program, you see that this is the startup of a pencil class, and it ends here with a semicolon, by a semicolon. But Java and C# does not need this ending semicolon. Okay, everybody please remember this. Okay, then what do we have inside this class? So in this side, with this inside this class, we have some variables or methods. You see that all of this either variable or method. Everything is enclosed. Everything enclosed either in variable declaration or other statement within this method. There is no single line of code outside of method. Everything inside either a method or either inside a class. So in an object-oriented program, so how do we know that this is an object-oriented program? If a program contains a class, then you will say that this is an object-oriented program. Okay? So in an object-oriented program, every statement is enclosed within a class. You see that there is no statement outside of this class. You cannot have any statement outside of this class. So every statement, this is the main program. You see that it starts in line number 45 and it ends all the way in here. Okay, so all codes go inside this main class, inside the class. Okay, a program file, this is only a single file. Okay, So if I save this program, it's main.java file. So it is only a single file. A file can contain multiple classes. Okay, you can declare or design multiple classes in a single program file. But you see that this is the class, pencil class. It starts in line number 2 and it ends in line number 43. And this is a blank. Blank is fine, blank line. And then there is another class, main class. It starts in line number 46 now, and it ends in line number 116. So there is no statement outside this classes, right? You cannot have any statement outside of a class, no matter how good or accurate the statement is. If you have a statement like this, hello, okay. Okay, it will make an error. Why it will make an error? Can anyone please tell me? It will make an error. You see that error message? It is showing that a little red underline. That means also you can see the red square, right? So that means it will make an error. You see that error is showing here and error is showing here. Can you guess why is this error coming from? Although this statement is correct.
Because it's outside the class.
Yes, that's good. Okay, you cannot have anything outside the class. Okay, and some statement you cannot have outside method. For instance, this statement you cannot have here. Also, it will make an error. So it is a good statement, right? It is a correct statement, right? It's a valid statement. But it is showing an error. Why is the error? Now, can you please tell me again?
It's outside the class. Oh, it's in.
It's not outside the class, but it is. What is the problem?
It's
What is
outside
the
a method.
Yes. So outside a method. That's good. So inside a class, so we made a few minutes ago, we gave a definition of a class, right? What is a class? A class is user defined data type that contains two things, right? Two kinds of things. Some variables declaration and some methods. So these are the statements, some variable declaration, okay? Variable, either you can have variables declaration or some methods, but this is a statement. Statement is called like it does something, right? You understand what is a statement? In English, we say statement, that means a sentence or whatever it does something, right? So this, we know that this statement will print or display hello ... on the console, on the screen, black screen here, right? This is a good statement, but according to the definition of a class cannot contain any statement. It can contain only variable declaration or some method declaration and some method declaration, nothing else. So this code, if you want to use this kind of statement, these must go inside another method. Okay, this must go inside any method. Okay, so maybe you can say another, you can create another method, say public, you can say void, you can say hello, and you can say hello. This is good. Now this is good. You see that if I enclose any statement within a method, then this is fine. But if we do not enclose this statement within a method, then it will make an error. So I'm taking some time to teach this, because while we graded test in previous semester, we found that some students, they wrote like this kind of statement within a class declaration. So these are called orphan statements. Okay, we in programming concept, we say these orphan statement. That is because these have no method. Okay, in it, so it will not work. And if you write this kind of statement, you may lose some point. You understand the reason? Every statement in a class must be inside a method. Now, in our last lecture, we discussed how to create or develop a pencil class, and we discussed constructor. Constructor, what is a constructor? A constructor is a method that is used to construct, okay, object for that class. Once we create a class, we will create a class only one time. And then when we successfully create our class, then we can use this class to create object of that type. Class is a type, right? As many as we need. Okay. So in order to create a class, we need to call constructor of a class using this operator, using new keyword. Using new code. So you see that in order to declare a variable, what do we do? So we say int x1, right? So that means x1 is a variable, right? And int is a type. So here we can say pencil p1. Then again we can say p1 equal to new pencil. And these two statements can be combined as a single statement like this. Pencil p1 equal to new pencil. So I'm sorry. You understand this? So this is actually this is type over here, right? P1 is a type of pencil, is a kind of pencil, is a pencil object. And whenever once we create an object, then what we do, we initialize that object. Okay, how do we initialize that object? Using its constructor. Okay, so this is the constructor. So the constructor is a method that has name exactly same name of its class name. How do we know that this is a method? By the way, whenever a method is a function, okay, or function, whenever a class whenever a function is declared within a class, then that is called a method. So here this hello is declared within a class, right? So traditionally we call this hello is a method. How do we know that this is a method? Just by looking parentheses. If there is a pair of parentheses, then we see that this is a method, and you may see something within it inside the parentheses or not. If there are something inside the parentheses, these will be variable declaration, and these variables are called parameters, okay, or argument. Actually these are called formal parameters. Okay, so here pencil is a method, and whenever a method is exactly its class name, then we call is as a constructor. So what is a constructor? A constructor is a method of a class, is a special kind of method that is used to construct and initialize object of that type. Okay, a class may contain multiple constructors. Okay, so if a class does not contain any constructor, then by default it contains, you see that if a class does not have any constructor, then by default you will see that this class has this constructor. So this is called default constructor. So default pencil constructor is called. Okay, some people may say this is also default constructor. Actually this is not a default because it has assigned values. Okay, so let me go this one. Okay, so this If a class does not contain any constructor, if you do not declare any constructor, then by default it contains this constructor, these things by default. Okay, and then how do we know that this is a constructor? Its name exactly same name of its class name, and a constructor does not have a return type. It cannot have return type anything even void. You cannot say that this is a constructor. You cannot have. So this pencil here, it will not show you an error message, but this is a method, a regular method, but not a constructor. Okay. So whenever we have a default constructor, or whenever we do not have any constructor, then by default we have these default constructors. So if we have this line here, this print statement, then if you see, if we run this program here, let me see only this code. I'm sorry. I want to run only this code. Okay, only this statement. So then what you will see, if I run this program, what I see that you see that I'm seeing the default pencil constructor is called, right? So I'm seeing this output 2 times. Why I'm seeing this output 2 times? Because I have 2 objects created. You see that this time I call this method, and this time I call this method. So every time a class creates an object is created, it uses its constructor, either the default constructor or a class can have multiple constructors. Okay, so how does a class can contain multiple constructors? Okay, so then these multiple thus other constructors. So this constructor it has no argument or parameter, but other constructor will be different in terms of the type or number of constructors, argument. Okay, and see there here in the last lecture we discussed, we use this keyword. This keyword is used if it's sometimes optional. This keyword is used if we have a argument name that is exactly same name of its field name, variable, class variable name. So it's a model and serial, and then you see the model, serial number, model type, has eraser. These are the class variables, but these are serial number, model, string, type, and has eraser. These are argument variable. So if any of these argument variable or parameter is exactly same name as its class variable, then we need to distinguish this by using this keyword. So this dot model equal to model, and this that I could say this dot serial number equal to serial number, but here I have serial number S is in uppercase, but here serial number S is in lowercase. So these are different. So I do not need to use this over here. It is optional. I may use it or I may skip it. Okay, so this is a problem for new programmer, new object-oriented programmer. So sometimes they confuse why do we use this and why when we can skip this. So now do you understand what is the purpose of using this keyword? So this keyword is used to assign an object's value to itself. Okay, at this point, I like everybody to speak out to me. I want to make sure that you understand this keyword.
I believe I understood.
Okay, so let me show you. For instance, I have Thank you for understanding, but I want to make sure that everybody understands this because this is a confusing part. Okay, so here I have two pencils, P1 and P2, right? Two pencil objects. So in general, what it will do in a programming memory location. So it's, for instance, this is my whole programming memory. Okay, and it will have one pencil like this, memory, one pencil or one pencil. It will have another pencil like this. Okay, so if say P1, say this pencil is P1, and you say P2, I may have other pencil P3, P4. Okay, so you say this dot P1, that means whenever you say each pencil has serial number, so that means whenever we say this dot serial number, then what it will do, if we use this, so whenever we say this dot serial number, so whenever for P1, so P1 serial number will go to P1, and P1's model will go to P1, and P1's eraser will go to here, and P1's type will go here. Okay, for P1 object, whenever we say pencil P1, okay, whenever we say pencil P1 equal to new pencil, and whenever we say we have in pencil P2 equal to new pencil. So what you will go, so these pencils, whenever every pencil has a serial number, right? So whenever these pencils serial number will come here, and another this pencil serial model will come here, and this type will come here, and eraser will come here. So that one pencil's data will not be mixed up with another pencil data. Okay, now understand what is the purpose of using this. So this is used with this dot in Java and C#, and many other programming languages. Some programming languages like Python, it uses self. It uses self. Okay, but C++, people who are taking C++, in C++ it is different. We use, instead of dot keyword, we use, this is arrow keyword. It says dot, dash, like minus sign dash, and then greater than sign. There is no space in between. You can give space after or before these two symbols or characters, but not in between. Yeah. So Java and C# uses dot, but C++ uses, Java and C# use dot, and most of the languages use dot, and but C++ and older languages use arrow operator. Okay. Okay, now, so has anyone any questions so far?
No.
Okay, now we want to discuss more elements for a class. Okay, so these are constructors and other methods. The class can contain other methods like can write, display, okay, and hello. Okay, in addition to this, there is a common method, and you will get a test question. Okay, that is called ToString method. Okay, ToString method. ToString method is, let me show you the purpose. So practically show you purpose. What is the purpose that we use ToString method? So far, how many objects we have here? Two objects, right? P1 and P2. Okay. So you see there is a green. Do you see that there is a green underline underneath P1, P2, and also X1? Do you understand why this is showing? This is a warning message. Why this green underline is showing? Is show. Do you understand from this warning message? What does it say?
Yeah, it's because you're not using it.
Yeah, we are not using it. So what do we mean by using something? What do we mean by use of something? What do we mean by use of, for instance, this normal variable, right? One of the use could be printing x, right? Printing the value of x, right? That is the easy use, right? We can say x1 equal to, this is plus x1, this is a string concatenation, right? So what is that reason? No strong arrow. Okay, so it has not been initialized. Okay, so I did not put any value. Okay, so here I can say x1 equal to 10. Okay, by the way, these two lines, this is one line, by these two lines can be combined. This we write as x int x1 equal to 10, right? We can write combined these. Similarly, these two lines can be combined written as this way. So now we have used this. So here now it is fine, right? This is an easy example or simple example how we have used this x1, right? So there is no underline error message showing for p1. Now, how can we use or display p1? So if you say so now similarly, if we say p1 equal to p1 and p2 equal to p2. So what do we expect from these two statements? What do we expect from these two statements? We expect that like x1 is printed over here, the value of x1 is printed over here, the value of p1 would be printed here, right? We expect this. But in order to meet that expectation, we need to have these ToString method. But for now, let us think that we do not have this ToString method. So now, if we run this program. So by the way, we do not need this statement anymore. Okay, so let me make our output simple. So let me disable this line. And if we run this program. What do we see here? We see here x1 equal to 10, right? But we see that p1 and p2. P1 is a pencil at the rate this something, and then again pencil at the rate something. So what do we understand from here? Can anyone please tell me? What do we understand from P1 and P2? How many of are you here? I like to see at least one. Okay, there are at least 10 people here. I like to see here. I like to hear your voice. Do you understand? Or are you worried about this output? Is this our expected output?
No.
No. Okay, so that means usually we do not get our expected output as for an object as we get for a normal variable. So in order to find the expected output for our object, we need to have a method. We need to declare a method, for instance, maybe display. For now, let us say display method. So the display method will, in the display method, I have to tell how do I like to display this object, because P1 and P2, these are different than X1, because X1 has only 10. It is a simple kind, right? X1 is a primitive data type, primitive variable. It has only integer value 10. But P1, it is not a primitive type, it is a combined type, because every P1, every pencil has a serial number. Maybe it has a serial number. Okay. And it has a model, and it has a type, and it has either a eraser or not. Okay. So these P1 and P2 are quite different than X1, because these are objects. So in order to display this object, maybe I need to say, I need to declare another variable, maybe name display. So now if I say here P1 equal to P1 dot display, I'm sorry, because I have declared like this P1. Okay, by the way, it will not be showing like this way because I need to return string. Then actually it will make me another issue. So actually I need to do, so this statement, instead of this, I need to set P1 dot display, set P2 dot display. So instead of calling this like this way, if I say P1 dot display, P2 dot display, then for P1 object it will call this method and it will print this, and P2, for P2 it will do this. Now let us see the output. It will come a little bit, but not exactly right away, expected away. So what is showing for P1 is showing serial number equal to 0, model equal to null, type equal to null, and also we missed has eraser. So then plus has eraser plus eraser. Okay. So now it will show as has eraser equal to false. So has eraser equal to false. So now do you think why we are getting like same serial number equal to 0, model equal to null, type equal to null, and has eraser equal to false?
It's because the default constructor doesn't do anything.
Yes, the default constructor, we just call the default, use the default constructor, right? P1 and P2. In order to create P1 and P2, we call default constructor. And in the default constructor, we did not set anything up. So that for the integers, serial number is integer, by default it will take 0. The model is string, by default it will take null. Type is string, by default it will take null. Okay, but for the hash eraser is a boolean, by default it will take false. But instead of this one, if I would write this code here, so then so now whatever I have declared, you see that I have given serial number 101. It is showing serial number 101, serial number for all objects. It is showing same serial number. But this is not our expectation, right? Usually we do not expect that all objects will have same value. We sometimes we may need this, like if we have a factory, then we want to say like marble factory or pen factory, pencil factory. It will create or same factory, same pencil, same thousands of same pencil. A factory usually it is right. But if we give a serial number for every pencil, then every pencil will not have same serial number, right? Model may be same, type may be same, eraser maybe either it has eraser or no, it may not has eraser, but serial number or some attribute, at least one attribute should be different for all objects. So this is then in that case what we want to do. So since my program does not have any value associated for these ones, so now I can say p1 dot serial number equal to 101, and later I can say p2 dot serial number equal to 102. Now if I run this program, it will show me p1 has serial number 101 and p2 has serial number 102. So this is one of the ways, this is a way to assign value for objects, okay? But this is not a good way, or this is not a secure way, okay? Give me 1 second, please. Okay, so this is a way to use dot operator to assign value to an object. But if it is doable only my variable is public, or in C++ it is default. Okay. But if I want to make, if it is private, then it will not work that way. You see, this program will make an error. This will make an error. Okay. So now we have come up with an issue that if a variable is declared with a private keyword access modifier, then it is not accessible within by using dot operator. You see that? Dot operator. That is, dot operator is used for public access, okay, but it is not accessible for, it is not usable for accessing private elements, okay. Now we have to think about an alternative solution, how to resolve this issue. But before I go there, let me ask you a story, ask you a question. Okay, so do you think that all of our information in our like personal information should be public? Do we do that, or we keep some of our information private in our daily life, real life?
Keep some private.
Okay, for instance, give me an example that you keep that information private. You do not publicly disclose that one. For instance, your social security number, right?
Yes.
Okay, like a social security number or my bank account number or my password for any account. I don't like to disclose this, right? People do not like to disclose this. These are private, okay? But think about situation when you first time you came to KSU for your admission purpose. Sometimes you had to disclose your social security number to someone, right?
Yes.
You had to give your social security card to at least to some officer, right?
Yes.
Yes, we usually do that. So we do not disclose our social security number. We keep our social security card private, but sometimes whenever needed, we disclose this. But we allow other people to use that, but in private or secured manner. Right. So for instance, when you came to for your admission, came to KSA for the first time for your admission, then you disclosed your social security number to a trusted person, right? And to an admission officer, because you knew that you believe that that person is trusted, then he or she would not misuse your social security number. Okay, so then you gave her your social security number, right? So in programming concept, we also do that. We need to do that. Okay, for instance, if the serial number, let us consider that this serial number is a social security number, kind of. It is a secret number. Okay, so that maybe a pencil is very costly pencil. Usually it's not. A pencil is a dollar item or less than $1, but it may be a royal pencil. Okay, that may be cost $1,000 or $1 million. The royal pencil. The pencil may have a serial number or special number, so they can track who used this pencil or if it is not stolen. Okay, so then they make it private instead of public. Then when we make it private, we cannot, now nobody can use this serial number, access this privately, publicly. Okay, so then we need to have an alternative way. So what is the alternative way? That alternative way is called using getter or setter method. Okay, so setter method is called public int, so you can say set serial number, maybe like something the int, let me write it, then I will tell you. Okay, int, for instance, serial number, and then okay, I'm sorry, void this dot equal to, okay, this is called a setter method, and there is another method, it is called getter method, public int get serial number, and then return serial number. Okay, these are the two special methods. These are the, this is called setter method. It start with usually set keyword, set, usually in the normal trend. You can give any name. You can just avoid set. And getter method is used for to get value. So I remember this is a getter method. It returns. This is called getter. So I usually remember this is a getter method. Then ret, return. Okay, getter method, it returns. Okay, setter method, it sets. Setter sets value. So getter method, so it returns exactly same type of its variable. This variable type is int, then it returns int. Okay, and then setter method, it contains exactly same argument, same type of argument, and then it says this dot serial number equal to this serial number. Now these two methods are usually kept in public. So then instead of this like accessing value, assigning value this way, instead of this way, what we will do, this is a trusted manner that we say p1 dot, now we say set, you see that I have set serial number, it is accessible. Instead of here serial number, I will put 101. Okay, and then similarly for p2, I can say p2 dot set serial number 102. Okay, now at least my error is gone, but still it is not. Give me 2 or 3 extra minutes. Okay, today a few more extra minutes, then I will finish this. At least there is no error message. Okay, at least there is.
Shouldn't it for the pencil P2, shouldn't it be P2 dot set serial number?
That is my mistake. It should be P2. This is why it is showing 0. Thank you for your quick catch. I was going to tell that. Okay, so now it is getting serial number equal to 101 and serial number for first one, and is getting serial number equal to 102 for the second one. So this is a setter method. Okay, this is a secured way, secured manner to access or to handle private variable. Like as we told that we handle our social security number, social security card privately. Even if we need to disclose it to someone, we disclose it to a trusted person, or we disclose it in a trusted manner, right? So what is in programming concept? The setter method is a trusted method in order to set up or set up a private variable. So setter method is used to set a value, and then getter method is used to get that value. So get serial number, right? So use should be, now we can say get serial number here in the display method. In the display method, this dots instead of this dot serial number, even is working, right? Say it is working, or we could say set serial number like this, get serial number, and it will work. So getter method is used to get a value. Okay, you can remember that I usually, it is sometimes confused to new people. So what is the getter method format and what is the setter method format? So if you understand only one of these, one pair of these, then you will understand for this. So the concept is that exactly it will be type, return type, getter method, it returns a value, so it needs a return type. And return type will be exactly same name for the variable name that it wants to return. So for every variable, you must have only one getter and only one setter. So this serial number is getter cannot be work for model. It cannot be have or for type or has eraser. So for every private field, we need to have a getter method and a setter method. The getter method, it returns a value, and setter method is always void. It does not return a value, but it has an argument. It sets value. When you want to in our program, we first use the setter method in order to set or assign a value, and then we use getter method to get the value. Has anyone any question? Okay, so here a few minutes ago that I usually I'm printing like this way. Okay, but it showed me an error. It showed me an error if I wanted to say p1 dot set p1 dot display, because the display method, in order to use a method within the println method, it must return a value. So my display method, it did not return a value. So here, in order to use that, I could make some changes. String, and instead of this, I could say return. I could say return the entire thing, and I don't need this. Okay, so then in that case, I could say here p1 dot display, and I could say p2 dot display. Okay. Now I don't need these two statements. I can see. And it will give me same output. And it is giving me same output, right? Has anyone any questions so far?
No.
Okay, then give me two more, just 2 more extra minutes, please, today. I'm behind. So here, so we saw that we created a display method in order to display objects. Okay, but in good thing is that in most of the modern programming languages, C++, Java, it has C# Java. It has a ToString method, a built-in ToString method. Okay, that is defined in the object class. We are not discussing in depth in this course. So if we override the ToString method as more like exactly like this, same thing, whatever you say here. Okay, if you get same code over here, okay, and then if you name this function not display, instead of display, if you set ToString, okay, in Java we say called to in lowercase, and C# we can say to is in uppercase, but C# we in Java it has @ annotation override is called annotation, but in C# you will see the C# program. It has override keyword. In Java we use this. Okay, so here whatever this say, if you write this, okay, then if you like this, if you like you override the ToString method, then it's easy. One thing is that even you do not need to call this display method, you can just exactly print the p1 and p2 object more likely as a variable, like as we displayed x1. So now it will work. Now we understand the purpose of this ToString method. You understand the purpose of this ToString method?
Yes.
Okay, ToString method, it has an exact format. It must return a string type. If you do not return a string type, then this is not a ToString method. Okay, and this is in Java, and in C#, we need, this is given an error. ToString 2 is in error case. And do we have greater than setter method? Maybe I do not have greater than setter method here. Let me quickly add this in C# program. Maybe some of you may want to use this. So greater than setter method can be usable for a public variable. So but usually it is used for private variable. Okay. So you can say set serial number, get serial number. Now this should work. Okay. Okay, now one more thing. It is very unfortunate that C++ does not have the ToString method. C++, it is difficult in C++. Either you need to develop your own display method like this, whatever I discuss over here. You need to develop your own display method like this. Okay, you need to develop your own display method like this, or okay, this is C# program, right? In C++ does not have the ToString method, so either you can develop your own display method like this. Okay. Let me spell like this. Okay, I'm sorry, it will go to inside the class. Okay. Okay, either you can, okay, so C++, so why it is getting an error in C++? Remember that C++ does not have dot operator. Instead of, we need to give minus sign and then greater than. Okay, so this is the X. So either we need to give this one. This. Okay, then we do not have get serial number, right? So we do not have greater than setter. So maybe I can set that up here. So in C++ we put okay. What is the error? Okay, maybe model is private, right? So okay, model is public. Okay, I'm fixing the C++ program. Okay, but C++ there is no ToString method. Either you need to create your own display method, or there is an alternative way that we can put this method like operator over operator. Okay, this overload this operator, like exactly this codes you can write. For now you can memorize this code. Okay, and this code must be put outside of this class. In C++, this is an alternative way that C++ does not have the ToString method, but this is an alternative way to resolve issue to resolve display an alternative way of ToString method in C++. Okay, has anyone any question?
No.
Okay, thank you so much. This program has an error. I will fix this error soon. Hi, almost 3 minutes. 4:57. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this dot. Okay, serial number, model, and then what is it? Okay, thank you so much. I will fix this. Okay. So warning and error generated. The serial number, model, invalid operator to binary expression constant character. Okay, this is an error. I will fix this error. Thank you so much. Okay, by the way, our next lecture will be online. And last lecture I went to your classroom and no one was there. So next lecture will be online. And thank you so much.